Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. This time we're diving headfirst into a question that never gets old but feels especially relevant in 2025.
Hmm. Yeah.
How are couples navigating love and relationships when the world feels like it's changing faster than ever?
Right. It's wild out there.
It really is. So to tackle this, we've got a mountain of research expert opinions and, most importantly,
The good stuff.
exactly, real stories from actual couples who are living and loving on the front lines of this relationship revolution.
I love that relationship revolution.
So buckle up because this is going to be a wild ride.
Totally. What's really fascinating is how many of the challenges couples face today aren't exactly new,
Oh, definitely.
but they've been cranked up to 11 by all the unique pressures of 2025.
For sure, like what specifically comes to
Oh,
mind?
well, everything. We're talking political polarization, of course, economic anxieties, and then you throw in the ever-expanding role of technology in our lives.
You said it's like all the classic relationship stressors just got a major software update.
That's a great way to put it. And while we're talking upgrades, we have AE to talk about how AI is showing up in the romance department.
Oh yeah, fill me in.
Well, apparently some couples are actually turning to AI to help mediate arguments.
Wait, really? Like robot therapists?
Pretty much. TechLove Labs did a study and found that a surprising number of couples, like 20%,
Wow, that's a lot.
it is. They're turning to things like these emotional support chatbots to help them navigate disagreements.
It's like outsourcing the emotional heavy lifting to algorithms.
Right. Makes you wonder if those same couples are also using AI to plan date nights or write love letters or something.
Maybe. But seriously though, what do you think all this means for relationships? It makes me wonder if we're losing the ability to just, communicate effectively on our own.
That's the million-dollar question a lot of experts are wrestling with right now.
Hmm.
There's definitely a concern that we're becoming so reliant on AI to smooth over all our rough edges
Right.
that we're kind of losing the art of genuine human interaction.
Like we're all walking around with emotional autocorrect.
That's exactly.
Okay, but before we go full on Black Mirror episode here, let's zoom out a bit. We're talking about couples in 2025,
Yeah.
which means on top of robot romance, they're dealing with a whole other level of challenges. I'm thinking about the political landscape right now. It feels everything's so polarized these days. How are couples with totally different political views even managing to stay together, let alone actually, stay in love?
It is a pressure cooker out there, that's for sure. Especially with the 24/7 news cycle and social media just constantly amplifying all those divisions.
Right.
But one fascinating trend we're seeing in response to all that is this rise in something called micro-empathy.
Micro empathy. Okay, I like the sound of that. Break it down for me.
So it's actually a pretty subtle shift, but a powerful one in how we approach conversations with people who have different views.
Okay.
Instead of trying to convince them or convert them to your side, the focus is really on just deeply understanding their perspective without judgment.
Hmm. That's interesting.
It's about recognizing that their lived experiences and their values have shaped their worldview, just as yours have shaped your own.
So it's less about winning the argument and more about creating a space for real understanding.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is that this approach seems to be really resonating with couples.
Really? How so?
Well, the Unity Project, which is a nonpartisan research group, they found that a whopping 65% of couples are now actively avoiding political discussions at the dinner table.
Wow, 65%. That's a lot.
It is. They're choosing peace over politics, you could say.
Yeah, I can relate to some nights you just need a break from the headlines.
For sure.
But avoiding the conversation entirely doesn't exactly solve the underlying issue, does it?
No, it's definitely a temporary truce. But what microempathy offers is a potential pathway back to those conversations,
Okay.
a way to engage with respect and curiosity instead of defensiveness and hostility.
I see.
It's about recognizing that, even within a loving relationship, you're not always going to see eye to eye on everything.
It's like choosing to love the person, even when you don't love their political opinions.
Yeah. And let's be honest, in 2025, there's a lot, to have differing opinions about.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The economy, for example, that's a huge source of stress for couples these days.
Absolutely.
We've got the rise of the gig economy, housing instability is still a huge issue, and then the looming threat of all those climate penalties.
It's a lot.
It is. It's a lot to navigate, even for the most rock-solid relationships.
You're absolutely right. And it's not just about those practical concerns like, making ends meet.
Right.
It's also about the values and priorities that are often intertwined with our financial choices.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, absolutely. Think about the rise of co-op living situations.
Oh.
On the surface, it seems like just a practical solution to, skyrocketing housing costs.
Makes sense.
But it also reflects a deeper shift towards more communal living arrangements, a willingness to actually prioritize interdependence over individual independence.
So it's not just about splitting the rent. It's about redefining what it even means to be a couple in a world where those traditional models of homeownership and financial independence are kind of going out the window.
Exactly. And that requires a level of communication and transparency that a lot of couples just aren't really equipped for.
Yeah, we're so used to compartmentalizing our finances, even within intimate relationships.
It's true. It's like the whole what's yours is mine, what's mine is mine mentality.
Oh, yeah, totally. But it sounds like that's starting to change. What are couples doing to address this, like, financial elephant in the room?
Well, one thing that's popping up is this trend towards radical financial transparency.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about merging bank accounts anymore. It's about couples having these super in-depth conversations
Totally.
about debt credit scores, even their financial anxieties.
Like right from the start.
Exactly. Early on in the relationship, before things get too serious.
I actually just talked to a financial therapist.
Oh, really? Yeah. Marco Ruiz, he works with couples.
Yeah.
And he actually encourages something he calls debt transparency dates.
Debt transparency dates. I love it.
The whole idea is to get all those like potentially awkward money conversations out of the way
Right.
so they don't become a source of conflict later down the line.
It's like rip the Band-Aid off. I
That's
mean, it sounds a little intense, but I get it. No more hiding those secret credit card bills or student loans.
right. Full disclosure.
Full disclosure. But even with all the financial hurdles and the political stuff we've been talking about,
Huh.
there's this whole other layer to relationships in 2025 that's unlike anything we've seen before.
You're talking about the metaverse.
The metaverse.
Mhm.
How are couples navigating the fact that one partner might be spending hours a day in a virtual reality world,
Oh, yeah.
building relationships, having experiences that the other partner might not even understand?
It's a whole new dimension of relating for sure.
It really is.
And it's definitely creating some friction.
Yeah.
You can imagine the potential for jealousy.
Oh.
Resentment when one partner feels like they're constantly competing with a virtual world for their partner's attention.
It's like, honey, are you coming to bed?
Yeah.
Just one more quest, babe.
Right.
Not exactly romantic comedy material.
Uh-huh.
But surely couples are finding ways to bridge this metaverse gap, right?
Well, they are for sure.
Okay, good.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution, but we're seeing some pretty creative approaches emerge.
Like what?
Well, one couple we learned about implemented something they call avatar-free Sundays.
Avatar-free Sundays. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So it's actually pretty simple. They just dedicate one day a week to completely disconnecting from the metaverse and all other screens, really.
A digital detox.
Yeah, exactly. They go for hikes, cook meals together, play board games, anything that allows them to reconnect in the real world without all the tech distractions.
It's like a chance to remember what it's like to just be present with each other.
Mm-hmm. They actually described it as rewilding their connection.
You're wilding. I love that.
It's a great way to put it, right? They're intentionally creating space for deeper, more embodied connection.
Yeah.
A connection that's rooted in shared experiences instead of, virtual realities.
I love that idea of rewilding. It's like we're having to rediscover what it even means to be human
Totally.
in a world that's becoming increasingly artificial.
That's true.
And speaking of rediscovering, I'm curious what other tools are couples using to stay afloat in these crazy times.
Yeah.
It feels like we need a whole new relationship playbook for 2025.
Well, there isn't one definitive playbook, but we are seeing some common themes emerge.
Okay, like what?
One of the most striking is this idea of couples proactively defining their values and priorities, almost like creating a relationship manifesto for navigating the complexities of modern life.
A relationship manifesto. I like it. Like a declaration of interdependence for the digital age?
Exactly. It's about couples consciously aligning on the things that matter most to them.
Yeah.
Climate action, privacy, family models, work-life balance.
Yeah.
These manifestos are kind of becoming a touchstone for couples, a way to ground themselves in shared values when they're faced with, difficult decisions or external pressures.
Makes sense. It's like a compass for the relationship.
That's a great way to think about it.
And in a world where everything feels so fluid and uncertain, that kind of clarity can be super grounding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And alongside these manifestos, we're also seeing a renewed emphasis on the importance of small, intentional moments of connection.
Okay, so not just waiting for that annual vacation to reconnect, but like finding those little pockets of joy throughout the week.
Exactly. It could be as simple as taking 20 minutes to meditate together,
Oh, yeah.
or stargazing with a shared playlist, or even just cuddling up on the couch and reading a book aloud to each other.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's about recognizing that connection doesn't always require those grand gestures or elaborate plans.
Right.
Sometimes the most powerful moments are the ones we create in the everyday.
It's like the antidote to burnout culture. Instead of constantly striving for more, we're learning to just savor those small things,
Yeah,
to find joy in just being present with the people we love.
exactly. And that actually brings us to another trend that's gaining a lot of momentum right now,
Hey, tell me.
the rise of community scaffolding.
Okay, community scaffolding. I've never heard that one before.
Couples are realizing that they don't have to navigate all these challenges alone.
Right.
They're finding strength and support in their communities, forming what they're calling couple pods.
Apple pods.
Yeah, with like-minded pairs who are facing similar hurdles.
So it's like a modern day village raising a child, except in this case, it's a village supporting a couple.
Exactly. And these couple pods are doing more than just like sharing childcare duties or organizing potlucks.
Oh, wow.
They're pooling resources, offering emotional support, even collaborating on projects that align with their shared values.
Like what kind of projects?
Oh, all sorts of things, like
Mhm.
setting up community solar grids or advocating for policy changes.
Wow, so they're really taking it to the next level.
They are. It's like they're redefining what it even means to be in a relationship, expanding that circle of intimacy to include a broader network of support.
That's really cool. And that shift towards interdependence, recognizing that we're all in this together, that's got to be the most hopeful trend at all.
It really is. It's a reminder that even in a world that feels so fragmented and uncertain, human connection is still our most valuable resource.
I love that. And speaking of connection, it seems like our time for this deep dive is coming to a close. But before we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with a little something to chew on.
Ooh, I like it. A little food for thought.
Right. Thinking about all those trends we've uncovered, like the micro-empathy, the relationship manifestos,
Yeah.
it really shows how couples are finding ways to adapt to all the pressure of 2025. Makes you wonder what a relationship manifesto would even look like for someone trying to navigate love in this day and age.
Oh, that's good.
What elements would be like absolutely crucial for not just surviving, but thriving?
Right.
In a world of AI and political divides and, all the economic craziness.
That is a fantastic question. It really encourages us to think about what truly matters in our relationships.
Right.
And how we can actively shape those connections to, withstand the tests of time and technology.
It's like we're not just passively riding the wave of change anymore. We're grabbing a surfboard and learning to navigate those currents together.
I love that analogy.
So true.
On that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into love in the age of AI.
Oh, wow. Time flies when you're having fun.
It really does. Big thanks to all our listeners for joining us on this exploration of love in 2025.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
It has. We've covered a lot of ground, from the challenges to the opportunities facing couples in this, rapidly evolving world.
For sure.
But remember, even in the midst of all this change and uncertainty, strong relationships can be an incredible source of resilience and joy.
Absolutely. So as we all navigate this brave new world of love and relationships, let's stay curious, stay connected, and keep those conversations flowing.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, everyone keep diving deep.